Prasatho Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Hun ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ 에ਅਰ ਤੇ Mr. Jassi Khangura, MLA, Kila Raipur, Ludhiana, Punjab to ne. And we're going to be talking to Mr. Khangura about Punjab politics. Before we welcome Mr. Khangura, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਬਹੁਤੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਦਈਏ ਕਿ he is the first former NRI to be elected as an MLA for the Congress Party and the first ever member of the Congress Party to the Kila Raipur seat. Mr. Jassi Khangura ਹੁਣ ਲੁਧਿਆਣਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ and ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ educational background is in medicine. He studied medicine at Oxford University, but Mr. Khangura pursued a career in business. He's a successful entrepreneur. He's not only an Indian state legislator but a very successful entrepreneur. Mr. Khangura has extensive business experience in the hotel and property sectors in the United Kingdom, and he's also been involved in the IT sector with the e-learning company based in London and Ludhiana. And today he owns Punjab's first 5-star hotel in Ludhiana. Khangura Sahab, welcome to XL Radio.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be there.
Khangura Sahab, you were once quoted in the Times newspaper in the UK. You said, by entering Indian politics, I'll die 10 times poorer and probably earlier. And also, you said that politicians need to set standards for people to follow. We've got to bring more accountability to Indian public lives. Now, you're an elected official. You're the state legislator in Kila Raipur, Ludhiana, Punjab. So in this interview, we will be talking to you about the accountability, and we will ask you, to give some specific examples of initiatives or actions that you have implemented. So let's start with the current issue that you're involved in, and that is the NRI blacklist. Perhaps I can ask you to go over this with our listeners.
The blacklist is something that India maintains, pretty much like every other country in the world, whether it is the UK, whether it is Canada, whether it is America or Australia. Sare mukan lod hundi hai to maintain a list of undesirable foreigners, sometimes called aliens. That's a fundamental right of any country. So, I'm not arguing against the need for a blacklist. I accept that there is a need for a blacklist. My concern is regarding the Punjabis who feature on that blacklist. Because ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਨੇ, and I don't want to give it a religious angle, but I think it's worth applying our minds. ਵੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਇੰਨੇ disproportionately almost 98-99% of Punjabis ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਕਾਲੀ ਸੂਚੀ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ. Why is it that it is almost completely all Punjabis are Sikhs?
ਹਾਂਜੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਚਿੱਠੀ ਵੀ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ, ਔਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਐਕਟਿਵ ਹੋਏ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਰੋਤਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਵੀ ਚਿੱਠੀ ਲਿਖਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਪਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ, ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦਿਓ ਪਲੀਜ਼.
ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚਿੱਠੀ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੈ ਟੂ ਦੀ ਹੋਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਐਂਡ ਟੂ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ Honorable Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਦੇਖੋ, I've taken a very common sense approach. What I have written is not rocket science. It is simple common sense. ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ Right to Information Act ਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ an individual outside of India, because one of the unique things about the Right to Information Act is that it is accessible to foreigners. So I said through the Right to Information Act they should be given the ability to find out whether their name is on the list or is not on the list.
Right.
If their name is on the list, then the government of India should give them the broad reason why it is on the list. Maybe they've said something, it's alleged that they've said something, or it's alleged that they've done something, or it's alleged that they've written something, under the broad categories. Jive appa India visa the application dene ha, the foreign missions, and the Canadian visa gets refused, the Canadian government gives you detailed reasons as to why the visa was refused. I accept that because of reasons of national security, even if सरकार detailed reason नहीं दे सकती, but घट तो घट 7-8 broad categories सरकार ਨੂੰ बनानी चाहिए, so that the individual who's affected knows there's something along these lines. Number 3, I've asked for an appellate authority, because this is the absolute fundamental need. Today what is happening is pretty much the same officers that are preparing the blacklist are the officers involved in its review.
Right.
It cannot be equitable. And what we need is an independent authority which would act independently, which will be independently manned, where they would receive applications for review for people who feature on the blacklist.
So, in other words, you're asking for almost like what we call a segregation of duties there, for people who actually receive and process, and as well as the people who are involved in the enforcement side.
The country that you left 15, 20 years ago, the country that I left 3 years ago, we have in the UK.
Yes.
Pretty much every country has this. It's a two-stage appeal process.
Right.
The UK Immigration and Asylum Tribunal has a first tier which is manned by laypersons as well as by people who are legally qualified. And if they reject your application, you have the right to appeal to the next tier, which is manned by judges. And ultimately, if that is unsuccessful, on a point of law, you can appeal to the High Court. Now that is a very equitable, very transparent process, and a very efficient process. From start to finish, the appellate authority determines all cases. I believe the latest performance figures are within 6 months. After that, if you have a basis to go to court, the High Court will determine your application probably within the next 3 months. So within 9 months, you've exhausted the remedies provided by the UK government. In India, we don't have those remedies. There is no appellate authority. So the only option open to somebody is to go to the High Court. The problem with moving to the High Court is, in the current system, the government denies you information. When you move something, you don't have anything tangible to move the court with, other than to say that this is a denial of basic human rights. Right.
So unlike other countries where you do have a channel, a process whereby you can present yourself and you have enough information to go to court, you really have nothing to pursue your case in the High Court.
Absolutely.
I see. Now, to see the
that is why we need an appellate authority in India, independently manned, independently staffed, independent resources, and they should operate in a time-bound manner. The last thing we want is for cases to clog up in the appellate authority and languish for years and years and years. We want applications to be determined by the authority probably within 13 weeks of filing, if need be on the basis of summary judgment. Let the government submit whatever views the government has or evidence the government has. Let the individual contest those views and the data submitted by the government.
Now, do we have any idea as to how big this list is? The overall list is in tens of thousands. I mean, I would hazard a guess 40 to 50,000. Oh dear.
That covers the whole of India, and as you know, India has long international borders.
Yes.
And India has many threats across those borders. So I wouldn't be surprised if that list features lots of people, names of people from our neighboring countries.
Right. Again, we're talking about you accept the fact that there's a reason for having a blacklist.
Except you have to have a blacklist.